So the format today, it'll be 4 15-minute quarters. The clock will run in its entirety. We'll have Sean Rainey down on the sidelines. He'll catch up with a couple of folks from, of course, the coaching staff, a visit from Ken Haslam, and maybe even a player or two. As we get things started, Chris Brown will quarterback the Maroon team, and a quick throw will go to a familiar target. That's Aaron Fonce on the outside, and a lot of things to get into here, Grady, and we're going to talk about Sam Vidlac, the new quarterback, but off the top, the offensive coordinator change to Brent Pease. That is what everyone's talking about here coming into this matchup and what's going to be different for this team this year. Just very simply off the top, what are your expectations and thoughts about Brent Pease taking over on the offensive coordinator?
Well, I think the one thing that's beautiful about athletics in general, but really football probably more than any other sport, is the fact that there's so many different ways to get it done, right? There's guys that have been successful doing it one way, and then there's guys that do it a completely different way and are able to be successful. So Coach Pease will have his own flair, his own approach, and it's probably going to be much different than Coach Rosenbaum. But again, there's so many different ways to be successful. So we'll talk more about that as this game goes along, Riley. But yeah, it's definitely going to be something to focus on. Fans are going to be excited about.
They will. That was Eli Gilman. We saw flashes of him at running back towards the end of the season as that pass will fall incomplete. Chris Brown was rolling out, but Eli Gilman leads a stable of running backs for Coach Justin Green and what they have. And Grady, a couple years ago, it seemed it was next man up mentality. Now it's, oh my goodness, how much depth in the room. And we've been hearing from a lot of coaches of how big of an impact Eli Gilman and others have made here in the spring.
Well, let's just go ahead and get this out right off the top, Riley. Coach Houck is so excited. He said something that was pretty big this week. He thinks this is the best offensive line room and running back room together that they've had here since 2009.
Wow.
And that's really saying something. So how exciting is that for fans to watch a running game really take off this year?
Well, with 9 returning starters on the offensive side, as Brown was trying to go to his Bozeman target, Ryan Simpson, it fell incomplete. Clock will continue to run. Good pressure there from the defensive line. We'll talk defense here in a moment as well, but you look at the offensive line, 5 returning starters there, plus you get a newcomer in Cameron Panfaloff from Utah Tech, formerly Dixie State. He actually played in this stadium as well. So a lot of excitement there, but Grady, we'll see the white team come out now, and who's going to be leading the charge at quarterback? It'll be Caden Hewitt. You saw plenty of him at Helena High School. Tell us the skill set that this guy can bring.
Well, this is always one of the most enjoyable things for me, is to watch these young men get to this stage for 2 reasons. Number one, it's fun to watch them, right? And they deserve it. They've earned it. But number 2, I don't have to face them anymore. Caden Hewitt is absolute beast. I mean, he can do it all. He can make plays on the run. He's such a great athlete. And he gives it off to Isaiah Child with a big hole right there. Isaiah Childs has had a great spring as well. So we talked about that running back depth. Coach Houck's really impressed with the progress he's made this spring.
And really with Childs is just staying healthy. When he's healthy, he's been effective for the Grizzlies in the fall, but he's been hampered by injuries in and out of the rotation. So he gets another carry up the middle. Might be enough for a first down.
Now, I talked about, Riley, in the open, I talked about how these are mixed rosters, right? The coaches drafted, so you've got guys that are playing with guys that they really haven't got many reps with this spring. So that really changes things. However, Coach Houck is trying to keep the lines, the offensive fronts together as much as possible. That's the one group you really need continuity. So I like that decision. But right now, these twos are coming in and moving the ball pretty well.
They really are. And when we look at some of the offensive linemen that the Grizzlies are having back, Chris Walker, the 5th starter that is coming back for the Griz on the offensive line, and you see him with Hunter McGinnis, A.J. Forbes, Journey Grimsrud, Brandon Casey as well. You just have a lot of talent and depth at the O-line as Hewitt throws on the run. This one is a little bit short, was looking for his intended target. That's Jake Olson, another guy that you know well, Grady, but we'll fall to the turf, and 3rd and 10 will be on the way.
Well, and you saw right there from Hewitt the athleticism that he has. That one's incomplete, but really, I'll be honest, in high school, when he got on the run, we were more worried. He was so dangerous. He can make plays with his feet, a real gunslinger.
That's Bo Dantic from Laurel and Isaiah Childs in the backfield with Caden Hewitt. He steps up in the pocket on 3rd and 10, through some heavy traffic, and there is Mr. Missoula, Levi Janicaro, in for the breakup. Man, what a great season that he had to lead that Montana-made linebacker core, but he gets the breakup there, and it'll force 4th down.
Well, and how proud is Coach Matt Johnson, Big Sky's head coach. You see Tyler Flink and Levi Janicaro, two excellent Big Sky products, and they're going to be great for Montana. They have been. They're getting better and better, and it's going to be a big year for them.
This is Noah Hughes that is punting, and that will be another storyline, Grady, when we talk about what the Griz have to replace. Now, yes, they have a ton of starters back, 9 on offense, 7 on defense, but special teams, you lose the FCS punter of the year, a guy you know well, Patrick Rohrback. He was absolutely phenomenal, but he has moved on to greater things, and that'll be a big-time loss. Just your thoughts on the whole situation.
Well, first of all, this is the second year in a row where they've lost the FCS punter of the year. It's just unbelievable, unprecedented, really, to have that kind of thing happen. But I just want to let everybody know, of course, everybody knows what an excellent young man Patrick Rohrback is. I mean, he's just making a decision. I mean, being an F-16 fighter pilot, that is his lifelong dream and goal. And there's a short window for him to do that. So heartbreaking, gut-wrenching decision. But, you know, Patrick sat with Coach Houck and just had a really good talk. And, you know, they both came to the decision that it better take that shot at it right now.
Well, and Coach Houck was very proud of his decision, as well as we're seeing Xavier Harris with a couple of nice runs. And same theory applies for Harris and Childs at the running back spot, Grady. When they are healthy, they are tough to beat, as we're getting our first look now at Sam Vidlak, the quarterback that has made it here to Missoula after stops at Oregon State and Boise State. Really good completion percentage, but he's only thrown 15 total passes in college, so ready for his opportunity. Spent 1 year at Oregon State, 1 year at Boise State, and comes in here, and you know Coach Houck well enough. He is not going to get close to naming a starter whatsoever, but I think the consensus coming in here is that Vidlak, it's his job to lose at this point, and there's a lot of excitement about what he can do.
Well, you're right, Riley. It's going to be a battle all the way up to probably the first week of the first game in the fall. But, I think Coach Pease right now, the focus for him is to see these guys make decisions, right? You don't care about numbers in the spring game or completion percentage or whatever, but it's the decisions that these guys need to make when you go to the film and break it down. And here goes Xavier Harris breaking it on the outside. Big run for Xavier.
That was Tyson Rostad that eventually chased him out, but 3 great runs by Xavier Harris. And Grady, dare I say, this is probably one of the only glimpses of the first team offense you're going to get. You see some familiar faces up front, Harris at running back, and Vidlak, the presumed starter, at least, running the charge here for this drive.
Well, and Coach Houck was very adamant about that. I mean, it's a spring game, so you're going to see some guys that they know what they can do. They're going to get just a few reps, get them out. There's other guys that need a lot of reps because they've got to take a good long look and make some decisions going into the summer. So, yeah, the reps are going to be all over the place based on what the coaches need to see in this game.
Ryan Simpson making the catch there. Someone that's going to have the opportunity to emerge for the Griz as Vidlak rolls out and finds Keelan White. Toe taps the sideline and goes out of bounds. For talking about the receivers, there's going to be opportunity there. Yes, Montana returns 9 as we get another look at this replay, but Mitch Roberts is now gone, so there's going to be more opportunity at the wide receiver spots and a lot of guys that are eager to move up on the depth chart.
Well, and of course, the great Junior Bergen is not going to play in this spring game probably, but we all know the commodity that he is. But Keelan White and Aaron Fonts, right, are 2 guys back that are going to be exceptional this year. They're going to kind of take over for those guys that have moved on, and you're right, a lot of opportunities for other receivers to step up now in those other roles.
Vidlak hands it off to Xavier Harris again. This is a great drive now that has went over 50 yards as the Griz in maroon are nearing the red zone. And as Grady said, this is a mix of 1s and 2s for the most part, but maybe getting a little glimpse of what you can see just looking at some of the linemen. Chris Walker is in there at left tackle. Brandon Casey on there as well. A.J. Forbes. So you're getting a good glimpse. And Journey Grimsrud was just a fantastic story last year. The position change coming from Huntley Project and earning his way into the starting lineup as Xavier Harris bounces through a couple more tackles, and he does get in the red zone and another first down. So situational football can go on here for Brent Pease calling plays here in the red zone.
Well, and one thing is we talk about Coach Pease taking over. Every offensive coordinator has a different method. Now, let's start with when you first throw the film on and you start game planning against the opponent, right? And every coordinator has a different way to approach that. Like, how do you game plan and come up with your list of plays that you think are going to be successful. So from that to the actual execution, implementation of that game plan and calling it, of course it's going to have a different flair than Coach Rosenbach. So it'll be yet to see, but Coach Pease is a known commodity, right? We know what he did at Boise State. He's got a great track record. He's put up great numbers, great yardage, all that stuff. So
as the Griz still marching in the red zone, will be 2nd down and 8, and Sean Rainey's got his first special guest of the evening. It's Athletic Director Ken Haslam. Sean, take it away.
Yeah, guys, and Kent, luckily it's not snowing. It's been pretty brutal this spring, but driving into the stadium, I saw the construction going on for a very exciting thing going on here.
Yeah, no, indoor practice facility is under construction, so that's great. Should be open in the fall, late fall, but it'll be a great addition to the whole community. There's really no indoor practice facility that's going to be that large in this community, so we've had great response from community members, campus students, student athletes, and excited to get it done.
I want to ask you were just describing to me that there's this transfer portal open window, and we've had that and NIL and everything kind of happened so fast. What have we learned about it from the start, and kind of where are we at now?
Well, we haven't learned a whole lot. I don't want to say the wrong word, but we haven't learned a whole heck of a lot, just because it is still brand new. It's the future. We've got to deal with it in college athletics, whether we like it or don't like it. I think some of it will start to settle down as the COVID eligibility years kind of wear off. We got student athletes that are still playing that wouldn't normally be playing if it hadn't been for that COVID year. But transfer portal's here, and we've got to work to make sure that we manage that and our coaches manage that, and it'll be a different way of college athletics being done, but that's how it is.
Well, we appreciate your time. I know you're checking your phone for tennis. There's still a lot going on in the spring.
There is, yeah. We had two tennis matches today, 2 softball. We got a spring game going on. I'm kind of looking over my shoulder. I don't want either of us to get drilled by something, but no, still a lot going on, and it's a great time, and appreciate everyone's hard work.
All right, Kent, we appreciate it. Riley, Grady, back up to you.
All right, thanks, Sean. Thanks, Kent. Is recapping some of the action there. Grady, our eyebrows got raised a little bit on some of those throws. What did you see from Sam Vidlac on a couple of those attempts for the end zone?
Well, this is the first time, Riley, that I've really gotten to see Sam Vidlac, obviously. So right away, I've been really impressed with how the ball comes out. He's got a tight, quick release. And, boy, threw a couple on the run, looks really good. And there were a couple nice balls. Now, they were incomplete, but I like where he's putting it, his ball placement. So far, what I've seen, very impressed.
And he was going for Aaron Fonts in the end zone. And this brings up just another point to it with the Grizzly offense last year. Maybe what lacked or what was frustrating was getting the ball in playmakers' hands, right? When you talk about Aaron Fonts, Junior Bergen, Cole Grossman, there's so many options, and you better believe I think Coach Pease is going to make sure those guys can get the ball, because that's what this Grizzly offense can do if they want to excel.
Well, knowing Coach Pease the way I know him and looking at the history, right, what he's done with Boise State, other stops that he's had, I think you're going to see a couple things primarily from him focus. Number one, I think you're going to see the screen game increase quite a bit. Now, you won't see a lot of them in this spring game, but there's going to be a lot more screens. I think Coach Pease is a big screen guy, so that's going to be exciting. And that goes along with what you just said, getting the ball in the hands of your playmakers. He's really big on that. He wants to count how many touches each guy needs and try to get the ball to those guys in space. So those are two things. The last one, I think Riley would be taking a few more shots down the field. Even if they're not complete, boy, you soften that defense up. It opens up a lot underneath and your run game.
Music to a lot of Griz fans' ears. What you were saying there is we're getting a look at our 4th quarterback already today, A.J. Abbott. We've seen 4 drives and 4 different quarterbacks. Of course, Abbott, the transfer from Oregon out of Houston, Texas originally, as he will go to the outside. Have a nice run on 3rd down and see where it's spotted, if they continue on this drive or not. But it's good to see all 4 quarterbacks get a look here in the first quarter.
Well, and let me say this too, Riley. I had a really good, frank discussion with Coach Pease, and he's really motivated. He talked about the rich quarterback tradition that the University of Montana Grizzlies have. He feels like it's been lost a little bit, and some of the things he said, I really enjoyed his passion. I respected what he was saying, just wanting to restore. Feels like maybe there's been years where guys have shown up just kind of saying, hey, I'm a Grizzly quarterback, so here we go. But, you know, the work and the attention to detail hasn't been put into what that means, and he's just excited to try to bring some of that back. I really appreciated what he was talking about.
Well, and that's something that the two of you know very well. Brent Pease is senior in 1986. Of course, you were right after that, and to have that pride and tradition, and in this day and age, like what Kent was just talking about with Sean, the transfer portal, it seemed it's been a new quarterback every year for the Griz, and to get some continuity in there, Sam Vidlak does have 3 years of eligibility. He's considered a pro-style quarterback, 3-star out of high school. In just 4 games the last 2 years, there's excitement there, and I echo those sentiments too, with Coach Pease just having that pride and wanting to restore it back.
Well, you think about it. I mean, he started it, right? He was Coach Reed's first, Air Reed quarterback that got it going, and then I was privileged to follow that and keep it going, and then after me, Dave Dickinson, and then it just, right, it is, and I think that's where Coach Pease, he wants to go back to saying, you know what, we have an incredible quarterback tradition. We got to restore it.
And he is in charge of the quarterbacks this year, as well as the offensive coordinating position for those that are just catching up on all of that. And yes, just in a breeze, the first quarter is in the books. Just getting underway here from the spring game here in Missoula. 3-0 our score of the second quarter for you next on SWX.